Hi, this is Mrs. Butters, and today's lesson is writing fractions as decimal numbers. So some fractions are really easy to convert to a decimal, because if it's got a 10, 100, 1,000, or other power of 10, then you would write it as a decimal exactly how you would say it. So in the example below, you can see 1/10, and that's written both as a fraction and as a decimal. So some other easy ones, 3/10 would be 0.3 or 3/10. 5/100 would look like that. 17/100 would look like that, 0.17, with the 7 being in the hundredths place. Then there are some kind of easy ones. Some fractions are kind of easy because you can rename them to have a power of 10 in the denominator. Now, you may want to memorize this list: 2, 4, 5, 10, 20, 25, 50. Those are what I call the friendly denominators because they're really easy to take the fraction, quickly rename it, have a power of 10 in the denominator, and then it's really easy to write. So like 2/5. Well, we can really easily do some invisible math on that 5 and make the fraction 4/10, which then we would write the way you say it, 0.4 with the 4 in the tenths place, 4/10. Here's another kind of easy one. When we see 25s, we can immediately think about money, right? So some invisible math of times 4, that'll get us 44/100ths, which we would write 0.44. As a quick side note, I want you to think about those two decimal numbers we just came up with, 0.4, 0.44. I want you to think about which one of those numbers is bigger. Again, decimal numbers, think about money. Would we rather have the 0.4, the one on the left, or the 0.44? Okay, 0.44 is a little bit bigger. It's 4 pennies or 4/100ths bigger. Here's one more kind of easy one. If you have 3/4, 4 is one of those friendly denominators because there are 4 quarters in a dollar. 4 times 25 is 100. 3 times 25 is 75. So now you got the fraction 75/100ths and the decimal number 75/100ths. Finally, there are the not friendly ones. These will require you to do a new kind of division. This is going to be decimal division. Don't panic. We will go slow and steady. You will get this. The first thing is that you're going to take the fraction and write it as a division problem, just like we did when we had mixed numbers, or top-heavy fractions. Sorry, I called it the wrong thing. When we had top-heavy fractions that we wanted to make into mixed numbers. Now, this is going to look different to you because for the first time in your life, you've got a bigger number on the outside of the division problem. So all those times that you were told you put the bigger number on the inside, now you have to forget that. When you look at the fraction, it tells you the denominator is the divisor. See how those both start with D? Divisor, denominator, divisor, denominator. The next thing you're going to do is write a decimal. Actually, you're going to write 2. You write 1 in the question part of the problem and 1 in the answer part. Now you do this fancy math thing called annexing zeros. That just means you're going to write or add on some zeros at the end. I always start with 3, and we'll get into that in another lesson. Now it's time for long division. I want you to remember the trick about writing the multiples down the side. That's going to help you so that you don't have to think so hard. So you can see my list of the multiples of 8. Now I'm going to go quickly through this long division and just let you watch. Okay, did you survive? All that work got us here. We've got 7/8 and it equals 0.875. That was the number, as you know, on the top of my division problem. So 0.875. We were lucky because this one ended in a 0. We would have just had zeros going forever and ever more. So I want to quickly remind you that there are three, or maybe not remind you, but let you know for the first time, that there are three types of decimal numbers. There are terminal decimals, and terminal just means that eventually it ends. Eventually you get to a part where there are going to be zeros in all of the other places. Repeating decimals, those decimals keep going. It's the same number over and 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 over for infinity. And then non-terminal, non-repeating decimals like the number pi. Nobody's ever found a place where it starts to repeat. Okay, so terminal decimals are decimals that end. That means that when you're doing the subtract step in your long division, eventually you get to a place where there's a 0. And then the next number that you would bring down is 0. Repeating decimals just keep on going. You can see that I've started my 3 goes into 1 here, and I've got a 0.3 on the top. And then it's going to continue to be a 3 forever and ever and ever and ever more. Once you see that that number is going to repeat, you will use bar notation when you write your answer. We're going to stop there for now. I know I rushed you a little bit on the end, but really it's about ironing out those details of actually doing the long division. You might be kind of rusty on that. We've got some details that we're going to work on. We're going to practice the division part with a few problems.